Hi, I'm Craig from ITC Reef Culture, and I've come to talk to you about how we calibrate our PARwise and why it's a little bit different from some of the other light meters that you might have come across. So to start with, we all use our eyes to tune the lights in our aquariums, or that's what we used to do anyway. So you change the color based on what you thought was relevant for the tank, but there's no need to do that because we've got PARwise to measure the spectrum. And also, we've also got different brands of lights, and within those lights themselves, they might have different LEDs from different batches with some slight nuances, so settings aren't always 100% going to match. But if you've got a light meter with spectrum, like PARwise, then you can do that. So we change our settings based on what our eyes think is best, but that's kind of a single point of reference. It's not measuring everything in all of the wavelengths of light, because that's just what our eyes do. And that's kind of what traditional light meters do as well. They only have a single point of calibration. They don't measure the light across different parts of the spectrum. They only measure one part of the light, and that's it. They're only calibrated to do that. So if you have a sunny day, and it's okay if you're using that and it's calibrated for a sunny day, but if you have then a cloudy day, the spectrum changes and that point might be off. And that's why different manufacturers supply correction values to change their reading to multiply it out or divide it out depending on what the light source you're measuring it with. You don't need to do that with PARwise because it's measuring the light across the spectrum, and it's calibrated many times across different colors of light or different wavelengths of light in that spectrum. So that's why we don't publish correction values. So first off, standard regular old school light meters have that single point of calibration, and we don't. We have that many multi-point point of calibration. Now, when we're calibrating PARwise, we use two different types of available spectrometer. We have the Jetty SpecBoss 1211, and also we have this little Ocean Insight spectrometer here. They're both externally lab calibrated, NIST traceable lab calibration, the Jetty being a German one, the Ocean Insight being an American one. And we correlate those results to ensure that we're getting the best possible measurement from PARwise throughout all of its different light parameters that we can measure. So why do we go to all of this length? Well, the main reason being that if you have a single point calibration, and you change the light settings to have more blue or more red or whatever you want to do, if that light hasn't been calibrated in those areas of the spectrum, the results are going to change between different light meters and possibly between different lights. So let's do a little demo and see what happens. Okay, so let's do a little test, and we've got an AI Prime 16 here, which is on full power, all channels, and we've got our test jig, which we've made to allow us to do different light meter comparisons, but keep the distance the same. We also have a jig here, which fits the circle part fits the back of the test jig, so it gets it in the same place every time. And it's been designed to be used with these particular light meters for comparison. And we've got three here. One's brand new, which has this bluey colored head. We have the slightly older one, which has got the silver colored head. And we have a yellow version, which also has a black colored head. And for the black colored one, we have a little wedge that's going to go inside there to lift it up a little bit, just to make sure that it's at the exact same height as the other sensors, because it's a little shorter. So we're keeping the distance between the light and the bottom of the unit exactly the same, and then we have the same jig to do exactly the same and keep the PARwise at the same height as these light meters. So we're going to do some color tests, and we're going to see what happens with the results. So let's have a look. Just as well, I've got my phone streaming video onto the desk here, so you can see the calculator using Cam Studio Pro, just in case anybody wanted either to use that or just to know that this is a live feed as well. There's a bit of a delay there, but there we are. Right, so let's get going. So first up, I'm going to use the light meter with the blue head, and I'm just going to pop that under there, put them in. So into the jig, turn it on. Hopefully you can see that result nice and clearly. So that is measuring 1261. So 1261 in this jig. Take that back out. Now we're going to try the one with the silver head. So this one, now these two light meters are exactly the same model with the immersion factor on. So we have to divide their result by 1.32 to remove that result because we're measuring in air. So you only need that. Those results that it measures are only valid underwater. And 1.32 is their published immersion factor that we have to divide off the result. So let's get this one in there. So this is the silver-headed sensor, and this one is measuring 1,388. There we go. And now we're going to use the yellow one. Just before I put that in, I need to put my little wedge in there to make sure it's the same height. In it goes. Into the jig all the way back. And then this one is measuring 1,069, 1,070. 69, 70. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to put the calculator in view. Hopefully you guys can all see it nicely there. So if we take the immersion factor off the first two, the first result was 1,261, and we need to divide that by 1.32, which gives us a PAR measurement of 955. So 955. The second head was 1388, and that was the silver version of the same model, 1.32. So divide that off. That gives us a PAR reading of 1,052. We're going to round up from 0.5 onwards. So 1,052. And then the original one was 170. So the three different results there are 955 to 1052. So that is a difference of around about 12%. Okay, here we go. So we're back onto white, and this is the AI Prime all channels 100%, which is quite a bluey white. So yeah, let's give it a go. So sensor one, let's get him plugged in. So sensor one. And that is measuring 939 PAR. Okay, sensor two. Oops. So sensor two. Unplug sensor one. And connect up sensor two. There we go. Sensor 2 is 955 PAR. 954, there we go. And sensor 3. Just unplug that one there. Mix of cables everywhere. There we go. Plug that one in. And into the jig. Sensor 3 is giving us 950 PAR. So, variances in that one. So we're going 939 minus 954 divided by 939. So that is a 1.5% difference. Okay, we're all set up for the blue measurements. We've got the AI Prime on all of its blue channels, 100, well, full power because they go up a little bit higher than normal. We're ready to go. We're going to do the same test again. So the blue head, the blue ones, and then the yellow ones to see what the percentage difference is between the 3 meters. And then we're going to do this test with PARwise afterwards. So hang in, keep watching. So first off, let's get the sensor in. So we've got the blue-headed version, and pop that in, and this one is measuring 816. Okay. Let's pop that to the side, and then we're going to pop in the next one, which is the silver head, and this one is measuring 913. Okay. And then I'm going to pop in the yellow one and the little wedge to bring the sensor height upwards to get it closer to the light as it should be, so the sensor heads match. And that's in the jig. And there we go. This one is 766. 767. So we need to take the immersion factor off of the blue ones so we can make the comparison. So the first blue-headed one was 816. I'm going to divide that by 1.32 to take the immersion correction factor off. So the actual result is 618. Then we're going to go for the silver-headed one, so that was 913 divided by 1.32. So we get 691 for that one. And then we compare them together with the black, it's 767. So we're going to do the percentage difference, 618 minus 767 for the two largest variables, divided by the 618. So that makes a 24% difference on the blue channels. And let's see what happens. So we've got sensor one. We're going to pop this in the jig, strap them down. And again, the jig has been made to match the sensor height of the previous sensors that we tested. So I'm just going to plug this into the computer so you guys can all see it. And that's taking a measurement 3 times a second. That's why it changes about when it's seeing the spectrum to get it right. So that one's measuring 641 there. So that is sensor 1. Now we have sensor 2. If you guys can't see the PAR readings on the screen, once we edit this later, I will zoom in for you so you can see it. But hopefully you can see it already. Here we go. So sensor 2 is reading 651 for PAR for this one. Okay. And sensor 3, last one for our blue test. Let's pop them in. Sensor 3 is reading 647. So there's a percentage difference between those readings in that part of the spectrum. So we've got 641 minus 651 divided by 641. That equals a 1.50% difference in the measurement. So there we are. Cool, so we're all set up. We've now got the Prime on its green only channel. which is a lot less light output, and you can see that, or I can see that from the top here. So let's give it a go. So we've got the blue sensor in first. Pop that into the jig. And that is measuring 46. Not forgetting that the immersion correction factor is on there, but we'll calculate that off in a second. So that was the blue one. Next up, we've got the other blue one with the silver head. Okay, and for this one, it's 53. Okay, so that's the two blues. And then we're going to stick in the little wedge for the yellow one. Okay, so your sensor heights are the same. Pop that in. Now this one doesn't have the immersion correction factor. And that one is on 52. Okay, right, so let's do the maths. Hopefully you can see that okay. So we've got to take off the immersion correction factor, so 46 divided by 1.32. That comes out at 34.8, so let's go 35 for that. And then the next one is 53, so 53 divided by 1.32 for the silver head. And that one comes up at 40. Obviously much smaller par numbers here, but if we're looking at percentage difference, then we've got to do it all the same. So then we have the black. So we're looking at 35 minus 52 divided by 35. So that makes a percentage difference of 0.48, so 48% difference, which is quite a number. Okay, cool. So next up we've got green, and we're going to start off with sensor 1. Let's pop that in there, into the jig. Okay, so green spectrum here, we're getting 34. Right, sensor 2's time. If I can get this back out. So, sensor number 2. In he goes. We are measuring 34. Okay, sensor number 3. That's sensor number 2, still plugged in, just measuring the air for us there. There we go. Sensor number 3, 35. And it's probably worth mentioning as well, every time we've gone on here, we're in the in-air calibration mode. So just like the other ones, we were taking the correction factor off. We don't need to do that here because we're measuring in air. Okay, so that's the greens done. So we've got a difference of 34 and 35, which is obviously tiny, but 34 minus 35 divided by 34. I mean, that is a 0.02% difference. Or 2% actually, my apologies. There we go. All right, so we've reset up. Now we're on red, which is the red channel only on the AI Prime, which this is just one LED as far as I'm aware. So again, we're gonna have quite low power values compared to those big whites. So let's start again as we did. We're gonna pop the blue sensor one in. So in it goes. And on red, we're getting 142. Okay, so blue-headed version. Now we're onto the same model again, but with a silver head. And this one's going for between 151 and 152, so we'll call it 151. Again, these guys have their immersion factor on, so we have to calculate that out at the end. Put in the little wedge. And then the yellow one's turn. And he is giving us 57. So, let's get the calculator back out again. So, we're going for 142 divided by 1.32 to take the immersion correction factor off. And that's 107.5, so 108, let's call that. And then we have 151 divided by 1.32, and that is 114.39, so we'll call that 114. And then we're down to 57, so we're looking at 57 minus 114 divided by 57 equals 100% variance in the smallest and the largest measurement across those 3 meters. Edited here because we lost the video. We're not using this to say that these models of light meter are rubbish, but the main difference is if there is a single point of calibration, which these particular light meters are done with, their results can vary across the spectrum. And I know as a reef keeper myself that I'm not really using red light and I'm not using green, but if you have a white LED, those are all parts of the spectrum that are being put into the tank. So they are relevant, and then they can make the differences between your light measurements. So the point being, the model that you use makes a massive difference in those results. So now let's check PARwise and see what happens between the different devices when we measure the same colors in the same way that we've just done. We're going to pop in number 1 into the jig. Unfortunately, I've not got it on the screen this time because I need to use the computer next to me to show you what the result is on the screen. So I'm just going to pop that in there, and I'm going to plug in number 1. So if you've never used a PARwise before, this is quickly how easy it is to set it up. Well, this one's been used on here, so we are straight off the bat. Okay, so sensor number 1 is giving us a PAR of 97 on red. So as you can see on the software there, that's where the spectrum is being detected and the color that it's being picked up at. So that was number 1. Right, so next up, once I get them out of there, it's a very snug fit, we've got sensor number 2. So I'm just going to pop this guy in. There he goes. Strap him down. Plug this one in. There we go. And that one reads 99. Okay, so that was number 2. Now we're going to pop in number 3. Into the jig. Into the computer so we can all see it, and that one is 94. So with the 3 set of results there, we've got 94 to 99 spread, so 94 minus 99 divided by 94, that is a 5% variance across the 3. Okay guys, so we've got the results and hopefully you would have seen that on the last screen that we've just put up there. So the long story short is because PARwise is calibrated across its range of spectrum, when you compare 3 of the same device together versus multiple of a different brand, but everybody refers to that brand as one name, the variances in the different parts of the spectrum are huge. So the long story short is PARwise is much more accurate across a varied spectrum because it has a multi-point calibration system versus a single point calibration. This has been a super long video. I've had really good fun making this because I love all of this kind of stuff. So I hope you find it at least the tiniest bit interesting. Please check out all of our other videos on different lighting terminology and hopefully we can all learn something together. Bye.